Hey family, it's your brother Jared. Welcome to the Mitchell Experience. Today we're going to take a look at the Mavin Air X True Wireless Earbuds. I picked these up off of Amazon for 140 bucks. Normal price is 180 bucks. You can either get them there at Amazon or you can get them from Mavin's website, mavinlife.com. What we're going to do with these is look at this from an everyman's perspective. These were not sent to me. I spent my own money on them. I've used them in my own day-to-day life, work, gym, play, and I want to give you my honest opinion on whether or not these things live up to the hype or live up to their claims. Let's take a look. So the Mavin Air X caught my attention for a couple of reasons. One, these are the first ones to market that I know of that claim to have the new Qualcomm QCC3026 chip, which is designed to improve connectivity, increase battery life, improve sound quality, while not really making this thing any bigger or massive to stick out of your ear. It comes in 5 colors. It comes in white, black, red, pink, and this beautiful ocean blue. I haven't really been able to find a whole lot of information on these, but I do know that they were announced back in September as far as I'm aware, and Amazon only has about 15 reviews as of the time of shooting this video. Now, if you're anything like me, anytime that you see either a low number of reviews, unable to find publicated reviews, or you find something that's got a whole lot of 5-star reviews, I'm skeptical. So at this point, I figured I would take a look at these for myself. So I ordered these off of Amazon. Once again, these were 140 bucks. They got to me pretty quickly. And the presentation was, pretty basic for a $140 pair of earbuds. You open up the box, you're greeted with this, and all your stuff, your cables and your different ear tips are, right in here. It's cool, no big deal. But the thing that once again caught my attention about these that I really wanted to check out is that 10 hours of battery life, that 100-foot of range, and the sound quality. Now, I am not a person who is just willing to spend hundreds upon hundreds of dollars on true wireless earbuds. Let me put that disclaimer out there right now. So there are some that I'm just not going to try. And if that puts us at a handicap, that's okay. But I'm not willing to spend $300 on, the Sennheisers or the Master and Dynamics. I'm not willing to spend, upwards of $200, like the Bose Sound Sport Freeze. I am looking for something that has got the good price to value ratio. And what that means for me is I'm looking for a few things that are really important. I'm looking for call quality. I'm looking for fit. I'm looking for features. I'm looking for battery, and more importantly, I'm looking for sound and what is going to offer the best balance among all of that for the price. So once again, these are 140 bucks, and let's take a close look at them. So the first thing that caught my attention is when you take these out, these things are extremely light. These are said to weigh, 4.5 grams. Naturally, I don't have a scale to actually weigh these to see how much or little, these actually weigh. But when I put these in my ear, these felt really light. And these come initially without this little wingtip thing attached to it. But the way my ears are designed, these things I immediately knew with the ear tip that came attached to it and without this skin that came on it, that these things were going to fall out of my ear just based on the way they're designed. I love the fact that they included 3 different ear tips, and they included 2 different wing tips or wing gels or whatever these things are called. It gives you a lot of variation and a lot of ability to get a fit that works for you. The really cool thing about this is even with that and changing the ear tips out and putting the skin in, it still fits into the case just fine. There's absolutely no obstruction. So they are a little bit different in their pairing process, in that when you first get these, rather than taking them out and they're already being pairing mode, you have to push this button until you see the red and blue lights show up on the ear tips themselves, and then they're in pairing mode and you can pick them up. What I like about that process though is that once you do it, one, they're already paired, but two, these are the only earbuds that I've experienced other than Apple AirPods that allows you to use each one independently of each other. So if you want, and I mean anything, so based on that chip, you can connect the right one or the left one if you want to use either one of them independently for any particular feature, for music, for phone calls. And this does offer the stereo phone call feature that allows the calls to go through both ears. Now, as far as call quality is concerned, that is kind of a mixed bag for me. You know, naturally on my end, which tends to be the case with these earbuds, the call quality was really clear. I had no complaints about my ability to hear. However, the microphone on these particular earbuds, and perhaps it's based on the way these things are designed, but when these things are in your ear, this is so far away, and you can see your microphone hole is right there at the top. So your voice as the person speaking comes across as really airy. You sound really far away. It's very obvious that you're on ear set, speakerphone, something of that sort. The problem with that is that it also picks up all the background noise around you. So whatever is going on around you, this is going to pick that up. So naturally you will have to speak up. I mean, all of the stuff around you is clear, but this is not going to be a good option for somebody who is commuting on a long train, for somebody who is in a crowded space, for somebody who has a lot of things going on around them. If you're in a busy office or something like that, these are not going to be good for you. All right, this is the microphone test for the Mavin Air X's. Once again, this is the microphone test for the Mavin Air X. Walking through the halls of my office, about 15 feet. Now we're getting to about 30 feet. That being said, that does take me to my next piece, which is the fit. Once I put these ear gels on, these things were comfortable, and I mean super comfortable. But it got to be a little weird after a period of time because I always felt, particularly when I took these to the gym, that they were going to fall out of my ear. They never did, but they felt like they would. It was kind of one of those circumstances where I got a good seal and sound coming out of it was excellent, and I loved the sound that was coming out of it. But then as I was moving around, it just would get a little bit loose, and you know, I'm constantly trying to adjust it and to put it back and just to make sure that that seal remains tight. Once again, it never fell out. It never actually did, and perhaps it was just a part of me getting used to it. But it was just constantly that nagging feeling that it might potentially fall out of my ear. The next thing though is that I want to talk about is the features. There's not a lot in terms of feature set other than your standard. The thing that I do love about these though, however, is that these actually have volume control, and the push button mechanism on these are very easy to understand. So you push once to turn the volume up on the right earbud and turn it down on the left earbud. You double tap, double push to skip the track, double push to reverse the track, long press for your, for your voice assistant, whichever one you use. This does not have any, hear through feature like the Jabra Elite 65Ts. This doesn't have any particular, types of sound canceling, although the chip is said to offer, the most advanced noise canceling feature. It's a standard kind of run-of-the-mill type of thing in that respect. But they sound good. I mean, they offer you the basics. They offer you a very easy to understand mechanism. And the good thing about the buttons on these is that these are not the types of buttons you have to push so hard that it ends up hurting your ears as you push in, because these ear gels are just so comfortable. Now, one thing about these ear gels and about this in particular that makes these interesting is that I could not fit my compliant ear tips on these. This guy right here, this tip is so large in comparison to all the other ear tips that I personally have, that my compliant ear tips would not fit on these. It was just too big. Now that's great in terms of the ability to drive more sound into your ear, but if you're not able to find one of these that fit, you may have a hard time trying to find another ear tip, so just be aware of that. Battery life. These things claim to offer 10 hours of battery life on the earbuds themselves and another 50 hours of battery life on the case itself. Now, I've made it very clear that I am not the type of person that's going to keep any earbud in my ear for 10 hours. 5 hours, 4 hours, whatever the case may be. I have to take my earbuds out periodically just to give my ears a rest. I've just had that experience with every single earbud that I have. But I can tell you that, you know, I charged these things when I first got them, and up to this point, I've not had the battery indicator on my Galaxy S9 show me anything less than 90%. And anytime I stop using the earbuds, I put them back in the case. That's just for me to make sure that I don't lose them. But I've not had that issue. So far, first impressions on battery life is pretty good. But the biggest thing that these things have going for them is their sound. These things sound incredible compared to what I have. Just put that disclaimer out there. Compared to what I have, these are the best sounding earbuds that I have. And I have the TrebLab X5s that I love as far as sound quality. I have the Jabra Elite 65Ts, and these things blow the Jabra Elite 65Ts out the water. No comparison, none whatsoever. The bass response is really good. Mids are good. Highs are good, and sound is such a subjective thing that it's very hard to describe in a way that will make it universal. So in my ears, I will tell you, first of all, I'm a music fan. I'm not an audiophile. I've been listening to streaming music for quite some time, but what I loved about these is that I heard separation in sound that brought out things in detail in music that I haven't heard in years. And I mean something as simple as the static from a record noise from a sample that was played in a song. I'm talking about the little minute details in the rolling of a hi-hat that typically gets lost when you're listening to streaming music or bass heavy sounds. I'm talking about the intricacies of instrumentation in the background. I'm talking about listening to an audiobook. I can hear the cuts from the takes when they were recording the audiobook because the sound signature is so clear. These things sound great. I love these for their sound, and these are my go-to for sound. On top of sound, these are also the loudest earbuds that I have. I cannot listen to these on max volume. And it's not a situation where at max volume it's distorted and piercing. It's a situation where at max volume with the steel that I have, these things are just too damn loud. So I have to take these things down. Now, I like the fact that I can control the volume both on this and on my phone, and the volumes are independent of each other. So the volume being maxed on this does not affect the volume being maxed on my phone. So I can have the volume set on my phone, and I can just adjust the volumes on these, which is really, really helpful. Now, with all that being said, as much as I love the fit, I love the weight, I love the sound, I love the look, this thing has one major Achilles heel. And that is, at this price point, at $140, one of the things that I look for as an average person who's spending his money is, do you live up to the claims that you attempt to make? Now, these things claim to offer 100 foot of range from your device. That's bullshit. These things do not last, or they do not have that long of a range with any form of obstruction at all. Now, I did take these to the gym, and I did a gym test where, typically it's an issue where with the amount of different Bluetooth signals, sometimes they can cause these things to cut out, with signal interference. That wasn't the issue. My gym is pretty open, So I was able to set my device, my S9 Plus on one end of the gym and walk clearly across to the other side of the gym and not have any issues. But I run into problems at home where I've naturally got a lot of walls, and I run into issues at work where I've got a pretty long hallway, but not really a lot of walls. Anytime that there is any wall or anything, and this is typical, don't get me wrong, this is typical of true wireless earbuds, so I'm not knocking these for that, but the range was actually worse on these with a single wall or a single floor between us than they were on my TrebLab X5s. And my TrebLab X5s, I paid $64 for with a 20% coupon. These things were $140. So my expectation was really, really high, given that, you know, if you claim 100 feet of range, boy, you gotta give me something. And that Qualcomm chip is supposed to be, you know, Android's response to the AirPods as far as connectivity. You know, I have a device with a Snapdragon 845, which is supposed to be the minimum requirement for these things to get what they're supposed to get out of them. They just don't live up to the hype. They don't live up to that claim. And it hurt me because the only reason for me to have spent $140 on these particular earbuds was the fact that it claimed to have that range. Connectivity and dropouts were always an issue. Now, it's got a lot of good things going for it, which is why this one is really tough for me, because I love the fact that I can use each earbud independent. I love the fact that it comes with the different ear gels and the fit is nice. I love the fact that the battery is great. I love this case, you know, in that this thing handles the actual pairing mode aspect of it. So when it comes to, you know, resetting it, you can do that. I love the fact that these things get loud. I love the fact that, you know, when it is connected, I haven't had any signal drops, anything of that nature. What I don't love is the fact that I paid for these based on what they claim to be able to do, and they're not doing what they claim to be able to do. So, not to mention, you know, call quality at this price point. And once again, I'm very, very clear to say this. At this price point, there are just certain compromises I don't feel like you should have to make. For the microphone to be as airy as it is, even with that quote-unquote Qualcomm connection, and we know Qualcomm has some of the best radios and some of the best, you know, connectivity features of any other chip, you know, so they're supposed to. For the microphones on these to be so underwhelming was another major disappointment for me. So, you know, what I will say as far as my final thoughts on these is you have to decide what's important to you. If you are a person who is going to use a set of earbuds in the office and you're going to use some to walk around with, or you need some while you're commuting and potentially take a phone call with, I haven't found any that even come remotely close to the Jabra Elite 65Ts. Those things, as far as call quality and microphone quality, are just amazing. If you're not that person though, if you are a person who enjoys sound quality above all, if you are a person who doesn't want to have to worry about battery life, if you are a person who has struggled to find some that offer a good fit, if you are a person who likes volume and you like bass thump and you like balancing your music, these things are amazing for that. So all that to say, as a conclusion, what you have to determine is what person you are. And the beautiful thing about the market, you know, the positive and negative about the market, there's so many different choices out there, is that you get the ability to choose what product works for you based on what's important to you. As for me, I am still weighing whether or not these things are worth the price, but I gotta tell you, the sound quality on these gave these a major leg up. I love the way these sound. These are my go-to as far as sound quality is concerned. Its biggest challenge, let's be transparent, is the fact that I have these guys too, okay? And the sound quality, surprisingly, is different. It's not as major as I would have expected, and at, you know, a little less than half the price, I don't know yet whether or not I'm going to keep these over these. We'll talk about that a little bit further. You know, we will do a comparison between these, and we'll also do a comparison with the Java Elite 65Ts. But let me just be very clear. You know, barring having listened to, you know, the new Sennheisers or the Master Dynamics, I have not listened to either one of these. These are the best sounding true wireless earbuds that I have ever heard. Just know that their claims of 100 feet is bullshit. So if you're okay with that, pick these up. I don't think you'll be disappointed. You know, like I said, if you're looking for something that's going to be loud, you're looking for something that's going to give you a good fit, something that's going to give you really good sound quality, pick these up, man. I'm actually very, very happy with the way these sound. I'm happy taking these to the gym. I'm just disappointed they don't go as far as I thought they would. So all that being said, you know, these things do get a recommendation from me for that person who is, you know, a person that loves sound and loves music separation and loves to listen to instrumentation. If that's you, get these guys. You will not be disappointed.